The High Line is an elevated rail structure that was built to carry freight trains through New York City back in the 1930s. It ran actively from 1934 until the 60s. With the rise of the interstate highway system, the rail line was eventually abandoned.
When the train stopped running back in 1980, this incredible wild landscape seeded itself in the gravel ballast of the High Line. I lived down the street from the High Line for some 15 years before I even really became aware of it. From the street level, in many places, the High Line's not that visible.
The track runs for 1.5 miles through eastern Manhattan, weaving its way through 22 city blocks.
You can see New York from a completely different vantage point than anywhere else in the city. It's completely unique to the High Line.
Since the mid-1980s, the High Line has been under threat of demolition, and in 2001, the structure was slated to be torn down, until two neighborhood activists came along.
My name is Joshua David. I'm one of the two co-founders of Friends of the High Line. Robert Hammond is the other co-founder. We met up at a community board meeting where the High Line was being discussed and formed Friends of the High Line with the idea of saving the structure and turning it into a park.
Friends of the High Line began organizing the neighborhood in an effort to challenge developers and wrest control of the structure from private interests.
They embarked on this journey motivated by the idea that this was something that would be good for their community.
In 2003, the group saw great success when the city halted demolition and passed a ruling to preserve the rail line. Shortly thereafter, they hosted an open competition to generate ideas for a future design of the park.
That was an amazing competition, and you didn't have to be an architect, you didn't have to be a designer, you didn't have to have any particular expertise. It was just about captivating people, creating unusual ideas, creative ideas, innovative ideas about what you could do up here.
In 2004, a winning design team was chosen to finalize a vision for the High Line.
We have this really exciting design for the High Line that really became a great example of how a community can work together to define what's important for them, for their neighborhood. It's a very innovative and unusual park design that's really reflective of this natural landscape.
You know, I've had a lifelong interest in environmental issues, and the High Line is such a strange and rare fusion of what I would call urban preservation, historical preservation, and environmental preservation. It's also a really unexpected opportunity to create green space, natural space in New York, probably the biggest opportunity in 100 years, arguably, in terms of just the size of it.
Construction on the project has already begun, and the park will open to the public in 2008.
And with just a few snips of the ribbon, a project 10 years in the making is open to the public. The first section of High Line Park is open and runs from Gainsborough Street up to 20th Street along 10th Avenue. The High Line was first built in the 1930s and was used to carry freight trains along the west side. However, the last train to run on these tracks was in 1980. Since then, it's been called an eyesore and a blight to the city. But two men saw this 30-foot high structure as something different, something with potential for the community to enjoy.
So the whole idea is that you have this meandering, slow, lingering experience as you move south to north on a series of pathways that's been specifically designed to allow the planted material to sort of push up through the hard landscape.
And while you meander on the walkway through the park, you will notice the space widens and narrows in parts. You'll walk through the building cutouts and then relax on the sun deck area. And which part of the High Line Park is Joshua David's favorite?
The 10th Avenue Square. It's 17th Street, and it's where the High Line crosses 10th Avenue. And at this location, you can actually descend into the belly of the High Line to this on these beautiful wooden stepped amphitheater-style seats down to a viewing area that looks up 10th Avenue towards Midtown, and it's a very dramatic architectural feature.
There are 5 entrance points that take you up to the park in the sky.
That's one of the interesting things about the Highline story is it really began as a volunteer, community-based, grassroots effort. A couple of people and then a small group of people trying to do something in their neighborhood to both preserve a piece of the neighborhood's history and also, at the same time, create something really great for the future.
The park will be open year-round every day from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. The second section is slated to open in fall of 2010. Enjoy finding the nooks and crannies in Highline Park with special views of the city. This is Roxanne Geyer for CBS Radio, New York.